For more on our politics lead now, amidst all of the chaos of the day and the week and indeed the Trump presidency. So far, you may not know that we are right now possibly headed for a government shutdown this week. It's true. If by Friday, Congress and the president are not able to reach an agreement to fund the federal government, a whole host of government agencies deemed non-essential will shut down.
Thank you very much.
Among the sticking points, will President Trump get the funding to build the border wall? And joining me now is the director of the Office of Management and Budget, Mick Mulvaney. Thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thanks very much for having me.
So we're talking about this potential government shutdown if this funding bill doesn't work itself out. And let me just ask you, the House is controlled by Republicans, the Senate is controlled by Republicans, the White House is controlled by Republicans. What's the problem?
The problem is the Senate rules. People forget this sometimes, that the spending bills are different than the budget. The underlying budgets sort of move through the House and Senate differently. Anything that passes on reconciliation moves differently. But most bills, including spending bills, take 60 votes in the Senate.
So you need 8 Democrats.
Got to have 8, which means that Chuck Schumer, the Democrats, have a place at the table. We recognize that, but that's why we just can't do it on our own.
A source close to efforts to avoid a government shutdown tells CNN that the Republican proposal in the House will not include funding for President Trump's border wall with Mexico. Is President Trump willing to sign a government spending bill that does not include that money?
Yeah, because I think the bill, at least the offer that we received from the Democrats the last couple of days, included a good bit of money for border security. The Democrats said they go to the mat and shut the government down over the border wall, the bricks and mortar. But there's a lot of things we agree on, both parties do, in securing the border, and it allows the president to follow through on his promise to make that border more secure, stop people coming over, stop drugs from coming over. So there's things we can do by way of maintenance and technology, gates, bridges, roads, that kind of stuff that make a real difference in that southern border security.
But the president says he's not backing down on the wall.
We're not backing down. Keep in mind, this bill is just for the last 5 months of this year. We're actually almost more than halfway through fiscal year 17. We're only talking about through the end of September. The discussion for what to do in fiscal year 18, which starts October 1st, that discussion actually starts as soon as this bill is signed. So we're going to continue these conversations. We just thought that it'd be a good first step to get these things that everybody agrees on and take that idea of a government shutdown off the table.
Democrats say that they want some funding for Obamacare subsidies for lower income Americans as part of this deal. Is the president willing to go along with that?
No. In fact, they only raised that about 2 weeks ago. They complained about us bringing our issues late to the table. We brought the idea of wall funding, more military funding, in early March to the Hill. They dropped this Obamacare bailout, these insurance company payments about 2 weeks ago. I think they also raised Puerto Rico for the first time a couple of days ago. So these are things they've brought to the table very late. We made it very clear early on that, yeah, okay, if you want to talk about those payments to the insurance companies, we'll trade you a dollar for dollar on bricks and mortar for the wall, but they said no to that. So we agreed to put that off for another day and then try and move forward on securing the border as best we can right now.
And there will be an agreement, you think?
I hope so. Here's what concerns me is that we informed the Democrats yesterday that we were not going to insist for now on bricks and mortar. We're going to move that discussion until September of this year for fiscal year 18. And we thought that was going to get a deal done, and we've not heard anything from them today. So now I'm not sure what's happening. I'd be curious to ask the Democrats where they stand on a shutdown right now, because we thought we had a deal as of yesterday.
And let me ask you about tax reform. The president's proposal expected this evening or maybe tomorrow on lowering rates, maybe not a detailed bill, but some broad strokes. Lowering the corporate tax rate 35% to 15%?
Yeah, I don't want to confirm the actual numbers, but I can tell you that number is pretty accurate. The official rollout will be tomorrow. We've talked about it in terms of guiding principles plus some rates, and that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. Talk about the specific corporate rate, some of the individual tax rates and so forth, along with some principles that the administration is going to be pushing as part of its proposals.
You're a deficit hawk, or you were when you were in the Congress. Isn't that going to explode the deficit?
No, not really. There will be growth on the other side. In fact, that's what this entire thing is keyed to do. That we backfilled our tax plan. We didn't start off with rates. We didn't start off with impact on particular segments. What we said was, we need economic growth. We need people to go back to work. We We need people in better paying jobs and more ability to move between jobs. We need more upward mobility in the country again, and that's what this tax bill is designed to. If it does lead to deficits, Jake, as a conservative, that bothers me a little bit, but we also look at deficits through sort of a different lens. There's a difference between a deficit that comes from, say, a wealth transfer payment, a welfare program, and a deficit that it comes from allowing people to keep more of their own money. That's a more efficient allocation of resources because you have more control over your money, and we think ultimately that's good for the country.
All right, Mick Mulvaney, Director of the Office of Management and Budget. Thanks so much for coming. We appreciate it, and congratulations.